Hi, and welcome back to Military Law Talks. So today's video is on the military mission on the southern border. Okay, so on April 11th, 2025, President Trump signed a presidential memorandum for the military mission sealing the southern border of the United States and repelling invasions. And earlier in January, there was other executive orders that directed military members and the DOD to essentially go and deploy to the southern border to repel the invasion. So President Trump declared the migrant crisis at the southern border an invasion. And so thus activating the federal military to repel that invasion. That is one of the purposes of military, right, to protect the border of the country. And so in this recent executive order on it, it directed that certain areas on the southern border under federal control be transferred to the military control. And so specifically it talked about federal lands along the southern border to be given to the Secretary of Defense for military missions. And so providing this transfer and acceptance of jurisdiction over to the DOD. So this particularly talking about the Roosevelt Reservation, things like that. And so this happened very recently. So this was in April 11th. And then I'm going to share another. Okay. And so pursuant to that executive order on April 11th, the Department of Interior did transfer that land to the DOD. And so if you're not aware, the DOD has been doing weekly sit reps, situation reports that can be found on defense.gov. So I'm going to just play a portion of the sit rep from week ending April 18th.
This week, the Department of the Interior also transferred federal land along the New Mexico border to the United States Army. This transfer will allow the DOD to assist Border Patrol's efforts to secure our southern border. Border security is national security. You've heard us say it many, many times. We say it because we believe it.
Okay, so did you catch that? So transferring from the Department of Interior to the DOD control land along the New Mexico border. Okay, let me share something else. Okay, and so along with the sit rep, there's also been, there was photos recently released about the DOD's mission to the southern border. So let's take a look at some of those photos. So like medical troops, training, doing exercises, flight prep, joint training time. So training with the Border Patrol, doing some night operations, on the Navy ship in the Gulf of America, some like flight crew helicopter, raising the flag. All right, and this one, patrolling in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. I want you to keep that in mind. Again, New Mexico, and just some other Border Patrol support. Okay. All right. And so why do I emphasize on New Mexico? Well, this triggered in my mind, remembering, right, during the Biden administration, there was lots of news about border crossings and high border crossings, specifically in California, Arizona, and Texas. And I remember thinking, well, why aren't there a whole lot of in the news about New Mexico? Are they not crossing the border in New Mexico? Well, and maybe they're not crossing the border in New Mexico. So I can't confirm the accuracy of this graph, but it seems, just based on news stories, potentially accurate, right? That the vast majority of the border crossings are happening in Texas and then California and Arizona, but not a whole lot of border crossings in New Mexico. But that's where the military is at in New Mexico. And see, if you look, the border between New Mexico and Mexico is actually very small, particularly when you compare it to Texas. Huge border with Mexico, Arizona, a large border, California, smaller, but very, very small in comparison. And if you know anything about geography, it's desert. And I used to live in El Paso, Texas, and I'm going to tell you that it's just desert. There's really nothing there. And so particularly New Mexico side, it's just a whole lot of desert, not really any towns, or particularly when it comes to the border, there's not a whole lot of border towns in New Mexico, not until you get to Arizona. It's just desert, and it's desert. All this whole swath of area in Mexico is desert, desert, desert. So, in my opinion, I don't think that there's a whole lot of border crossings coming from Mexico to New Mexico because, well, smaller border and just geography. It's straight up desert, desert, desert. But then why are troops being sent to New Mexico? Why are we doing exercises in New Mexico? Well, I don't know. I'm totally speculating. This is total speculation on my part, but I think it's really kind of just a show of force. It's a show of force to like say, hey, we're doing something. We're on the southern border. Border crossings are down, but didn't fail to explain that, hey, there's not a whole lot of border crossings in New Mexico. There's probably not a whole lot of need for active duty military troops to be in New Mexico, because ultimately at the end of the day, really the border mission is the Border Patrol. Does a lot of the mission. A lot of the border crossings were kind of stopped, not necessarily because of the military, but already other measures were put in place. The Texas National Guard has actually been on the border for well over a year in Texas. And so I'm not going to say it's a total like PR op, but I don't know. You can speculate along with me and say, I don't know why at least the DOD this last week had a huge focus on the southern border, but specifically in New Mexico, when that really didn't seem to be a problem with border crossings. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Anyways, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, and share this content out there. If you know about anyone else who would like this video, please share it. I'm a new channel, so help me grow, and hopefully you like the content. And if you have any ideas for other content, put it in the comments below. It definitely helps with the algorithm. We'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.